thank you for joining me in the backyard. Oh, I better not step on that. You see that? That is a datura seed pod. I have datura seed pods everywhere. But I actually have learned that if you poke yourself with that, it actually makes your skin tingle. It doesn't feel very good. So, I'm gonna throw that over here. One thing to note, if you look down right where we're standing, the chicken playpen that you guys have seen is was in this space just till a little bit ago, just till like a few minutes ago. And so we basically let them get in here and clean up, which is nice because number one, they'll dig up a lot of the like all the little different insect eggs that are all in this space over here. They've eaten them all up. Of course, they've also eaten up all of the earthworms and all of the grubs and all the other things that they could have found. Any extra seeds I don't want them to eat. They cleaned this area, which it had growing in it lots and lots of red salvia. It had basil, it had lettuce, it had all kinds of things just kind of randomly growing in it. So they got a chance to get in on that, and then they cleaned up this path for me. And so now that I've taken them off of it, I can just go back over here inside of here and clean up all, because it's that time of year when I really need to get in there and start doing some massive cleaning again and getting all of this plumbago, yellow brown plumbago cut back so that it can really grow healthy and happy again. So that's what I'll be working on a little bit. As we mentioned last week, I have lots of beneficial critters in my garden, and that's our squirrel friend that we mentioned last week, and she was literally throwing pecans at me just a minute ago. Like, I was in her space, and she chunked a pecan, and I looked up and I go, "Stop throwing pecans at me." And Joe was like, "I'm not throwing pecans at you." And I'm like, "I'm talking to that squirrel up there." Like, so, okay, a few things before we get started on today's topic that I wanted to talk about is, I've written it on my hand so I don't forget. First of all, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I am hosting a grounding meditation here in the garden with me. And if you're interested in that, just send me a DM or I'll put the link down at the bottom here in the comments. Please sign up. That way I know how many people are coming out. I have limited space. So we want to make sure that we're not, sharing germs with one another, that kind of thing, but only sharing good vibes with each other. So if you're interested in coming out to that, it's a free project that I've started working on, and I'm welcome you all to come out to it. The second thing that I wanted to tell you about is on October the 17th is the live debut of a virtual event called TEDx Cole Park. I am one of the 10 speakers, and I will be speaking. The title of my speech is called "My Garden is a Sanctuary." And I'm very excited for so many of you all to get to see and hear my story about why the garden is so much bigger to me than just the food that I grow inside of my beautiful garden. Also, on October the 24th, I will be hosting another seasonal gardening workshop. And I can get you the link for that. I'll drop it right down in here as well. There is a cost to that class, but it's pretty nominal and affordable. And certainly it will help you get started on really kicking your garden into high gear. And I also will be doing a recording of that, so that will be available for a little bit less expensive ticket price. And last but not least, we launch the 6th episode of Dinner Table Talks, and this week is phenomenally exciting because it is the 3rd episode of Friends with Benefits. We kind of had to stop that in March. You all know the corona killed it all, and now we're getting around to the time of year when we feel comfortable in doing that again. And our friends from Bellino's, Susan and Francesco Inguajato came over to us and we got to have a Friends with Benefit episode with them. We got to share in a beautiful meal with them as usual. We hope you will tune in to that at dinnertabletalks.com. Now, let's get down to today's business. First of all, if you've got a garden that's actively producing right now, then you should probably be harvesting some of the stuff from some of the spring plants that you had already planted. You're probably seeing your peppers start to set again. You're probably seeing some of your tomatoes starting to set again. You're definitely seeing some of your eggplant set. And I am super happy to show off all of the beautiful eggplants that are starting to come off of my garden. So you can see I've got this big fat one right here and this one right here. Now these will grow a little bit longer, but they've started to fatten and they're starting to get a little bit thick, and they're kind of starting to show some signs like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these. And then let's see, I'm gonna leave these on for my next harvest. And then if you peek up here, I'm gonna take this stuff out, put it down here. I might come back and do that in a minute. Put those in my basket, okay. And then let's see, I've got a 3-pack over here that I'm not quite ready to harvest from yet. See my notes? And then another little one over there. And, oh, look at these. Oh yeah, these are some good ones. See these beauties? Fat, got a little bit of brown going on them now, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop those off. Here's another one. I'm so excited that the squirrel or the possum or whatever that likes to eat my stuff didn't find these. And then I've got another one over here. Now this one, that one was planted last year about this time in the ground. This one was from seed from this last season. So this is a spring planting, and now it's starting to put on its first. And these are some beauties. Look at them. All right, Joe.
What is the variety of these with the white on them? You know, when we go to the grocery store, they're dark purple.
Well, the dark purple ones are called the Black Beauties, and that's a pretty generic, easily distributable. It's not actually my favorite eggplant, but it grows very easily. This is, honestly, I don't know the answer to that question because I was having a hard time labeling things in the past, and so I'm not 100% sure about it, but it's some sort of a Japanese long. That's what, and these grow really well. I've got 2 different varieties. I've got, these 2 are the same variety, but then I've got another one that's like a 3-year-old plant that's actually still doing really well. And it puts on, it's a long plant like this, but it's dark. And that's this one. Now I thought this plant was gonna die last year, but it's actually looking pretty and it's starting to put on some flowers. So I may get another, that'll be the 3rd harvest from that particular plant this year. Joe, tell me what you think we might do with this. I mean, we do a lot of baba ganoush. That's what I have done the last couple times. That's what I did with some pretty eggplants from the Southside Farmers Market.
Well, when I analyze, first of all, you listen to Dinner Table Talks every week, and you get a fantastic peek into the way that we seasonally eat.
Yeah.
But with first of all, I'm going to consider the size of the harvest.
Yes, it's pretty phenomenal. Pretty small still.
That's decent. Now with that, we could easily do a fry night and fry, slice them thinly, put them in a batter, and then fry them. That's always delicious. Mm-hmm. But I'm really.
What about that
looking
thing
at this,
that Nicole made that one time?
I'm looking at the
tortellong.
Tortellong. That is slicing them long ways and roasting them, and then dropping them into egg batter to make basically like an
omelet.
Yes and no. It's not folded. There's no cheese. That would be something too. But I think that I can defrost some farmers market purchased pork sausage out of the freezer. Slice those as long as I can get them.
They're very fresh. They're not gonna be bitter.
And do a like a sausage based.
Just eat the eggplant.
Eggplant parmesan with sausage in the layers.
Now you're
that might be dinner.
Real creative.
That and a nice green salad. I want to see what else you're harvesting. Maybe we could do a harvest dinner. What else is?
Well, I don't have a lot of massive stuff. That's my big harvest right now.
Oh, this is the stuff you said left over from the. I'm with you.
Yeah, and so now I've got these other plants that are really starting to put on. So all of my peppers are starting to put some stuff on like this. My guess is this is probably like an Anaheim of some kind, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know this one. This one hasn't set big peppers yet, but it's definitely setting them. And this is that Peter pepper as well. I've always got tons of oregano. Now, one thing I'm not 100% sure. I probably could. Let's do it right here. Let's actually do it right here. Brussels sprouts, okay? And here's the thing. One of the other things I wanted to talk about today, and we'll talk about this a little bit more as we make our way around the garden, is these 90-degree temperatures that we're seeing in October. And the fact of the matter is in South Texas and probably in a lot of the Zone 9 region areas, you might see 90-degree temperatures all the way into December. And I have mentioned that a lot of the fruit won't set at those 90-degree temperatures. So one of the things that we have to be aware of is that our plants are having flowers, but if the flowers are falling off over the last couple of days, because I've told you, oh, we're in the 85s, the fruit should be setting, all that, and then you notice that your flowers start falling off, then you have to remember the temperatures, okay? And so if we're looking at 90-degree temperatures, I hear today our high might be 96 degrees. It's October. That's the reality. So this is the reason why so often I talk about the idea that you need to be real aware of the temperatures and you need to be real aware of the weather. Because just because the temperatures decreased in September, which had a lot to do with hurricane season, which often has a lot to do with hurricane season, we also got a lot of rain in September. And so our soil was actually a lot more moist. Well, now here comes October and we're getting back up into the high temperatures and we haven't seen as much rain, which means if you want your garden to be the most successful, you have to continue tending it. You have to pay attention to the amount of moisture that your soil is getting, and you have to make sure that you're watering in the morning, because by the time you get into the afternoon, some of these winter vegetables and some of those pretty squash and things, baby young squash that you've just put in the ground, get hit with a 90-degree day, then they're not going to make it to the evening and you're going to lose those plants that you've worked on. And so that's one thing that's really important. Make sure you're getting your watering done in the morning. If you go to work at 8 o'clock, get up before the sun comes up, and as soon as the sun comes up, get out there with your hose and get things watered. That's a little bit of a commitment, but it's a valuable, worthy commitment to having the best garden that you can have. Now, something else that I talked about very much, and that was I don't start now there's maybe some of the guides I may have talked about how in October we might start planting some soft-leafed greens. But the truth of the matter is that I really am not planting my soft-leaf greens yet. I'm planting my hardy-leafed greens. I'm planting cabbages, I'm planting Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, kale. I'm not planting lettuces, and I'm not planting spinach, soft-leaf spinach yet, because the insects are insane right now. We have every kind of whitefly, we have every kind of thrip, we have every kind of grasshopper. All the things that I got asked the other day, well, I've not seen this in a long time. Well, if you remember the last year, that fly likes me a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've made a friend this morning.
Go away, go somewhere else. Shoo fly, don't bother me. All right.
The tragedy of smelling so sweet.
Oh my God, look at it. It thinks I'm the best thing in the garden. Okay, so if you've noticed that all these little insects are around and you've not noticed them before, we didn't have a freeze last winter. If we had a freeze, it was like 32 degrees for like an hour overnight, or 31 degrees for like 2 hours overnight. It was nothing at all massive. And so because of that, all of those little baby creatures lived, and then they have the ability to plant more babies in the ground, and then every time it rains they hatch. So we've got all of these insects, all these beautiful, amazing things that help feed and beneficial, all the good stuff, right? But we have to learn how to plant in an understanding that those bugs are going to win the war if we try to fight with them, okay? So keep planting your hardy greens. If you've got excess tomatoes and excess squash and cucumbers, I'm going to show you all the stuff that I've been doing over there. Keep planting that stuff, because we may not see a freeze until January. Now, that being said, we might see a freeze next week. That's Texas. And everyone that's from here knows that's how it works. But go ahead and keep planting those things. And then go ahead now and start planting your carrots, your root vegetables, all those things. But that's one that needs a really deep bed. So if you've got a really deep bed, that's where you plant your carrots. That's where you plant all your different turnips, all of that kind of beautiful stuff, right? And continue to keep planting, especially if you've got Brussels sprouts that are a nice size like this one. I picked this one up at Turner's yesterday when I stopped by. I'm so thankful for those guys. They're always so kind to me. Actually, I got some fresh cut flowers from them yesterday just because they had some to spare and they wanted to send me home with some. But Brussels sprouts, keep planting those. And then I picked up this fun one because I like the interesting, this is a cheddar cauliflower. I wanted to make sure I just had a few more of those. Yes, I'm planting lots of these seeds. Yes, I've got my own varieties of them as well, but this is an opportunity to try something different. Now this is it actually doesn't say, it just says Brussels sprout. The variety that I have growing that I've planted from seed is a Hestia. That's the Brussels sprout variety that I have growing. So I'm just gonna go ahead and plant this right here because I'm gonna get enough, it's getting this sun right here in the morning. And as the leaves fall off of my pecan tree, this Brussels sprout's gonna get plenty, plenty, plenty. And I'm gonna take a little bit of my mixture here. I picked up some of this yesterday at turners as well. It's an organic fertilizer. It's a little bit of Epsom salt and also azomite. That's what I like to put in with my young plants. And then I'm just going to pop this little puppy in there just like that. And I actually compost in place, so I'll just pull some good stuff out from down here, throw it back up on top of there. And as you can imagine, with my chickens being on this the other day, there's plenty of compost and fertilizer in that soil right there. All right, there you go. Now I want to make sure I get that watered. I cannot leave it unwatered. So make sure you go in right away, especially with these 96-degree temperatures. Those baby plants that have been newly planted, they can't live throughout the day if they haven't gotten some water. So make sure you put some water in there. Okay, let's go on over here to the other side of the garden. Well, let me show you this before we go. So right here I put in a cauliflower. This is a snow crown cauliflower. So at some point in the year you'll see this beautiful bush of plant going here with a beautiful white head of cauliflower on it. And then I went ahead and put in a golden crookneck squash right here that's doing really well. I'm happy about that. As long as we don't have an early freeze, I will have more yellow squash than I even want to eat. Then over here is this another Brussels sprout. It's going to grow a big, nice, bushy Brussels sprout. Brussels sprouts have got to be planted early. That's an important one. I know I mentioned that earlier, but that's one of those things, if you don't get the timing right on Brussels sprouts, you'll have a big, nice plant, but no Brussels sprouts on it, okay? Now, as you can see, this is what I'm doing right now. All of these germinating. All of these germinating, all of these baby plants, moving all of these baby plants, moving them up bigger, bigger, bigger as I can, making sure I get them watered in the morning. If I can't water them in the morning, I come home to dead plants in the afternoon. That's just what it is. So make sure you get your plants watered in the morning. All right. Check out what's coming soon over here. Without stepping over there because there's lots of stuff growing. Can you see that back there? There's actually like 3 or 4 of them. They're hiding from me back there. Those are some more tromboncinos. So we're going to get to have some tromboncinos.
Did you pick that tromboncino on the show here last week?
Yes.
We ate it that night.
A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we ate it that night.
Yeah. And so then I've gone in and filled in with radishes, of course. Now you can even see where my radishes are getting eaten by some things. So hopefully enough of those will make it that I'll have some radishes in there. I put in another cucumber. I'm still putting in lots of cucumbers. Of course, my peppers are starting to set fruit. And here's another cauliflower of some kind. And of course, lots and lots of marigolds. You want to make sure you're doing lots of marigolds. I've even got a pumpkin over here now. The white flies have been a real problem for my squash this year. But I'm hopeful that if I can even get one plant, just like this guy right here, and I can get some fruit on it at some point, right? Over here, I've got another golden crookneck that I'm putting in this space. You know, here's the thing. If the plant dies, put in another plant. You saw how many plants I have in there. I'm not too worried. I just keep planting. Another squash right here. I've taken some of my older big pots from the things I planted in pots in the springtime and stuck them here in the ground, so these plants will finally start to take off and be happy. You can see I've got peppers over here. Little peppers starting to set. I believe this is maybe a poblano. And here are some tomatoes. And then I've got tomato flowers setting. Now, turn around back behind you. This particular plant doesn't look super healthy, but it is starting to set fruit. You can see here and here and here. So I expect to see more and more of that as the days and weeks go by. More of these peppers, these big peppers I put in late because they were in pots and I just needed to get them in the ground. So these were spring planted, but look how many pretty little peppers are going on there. That looks like it might be a chili pepper of some kind, actually. So, and then eggplants. I'm putting in lots of eggplants, different eggplants. This one's been setting flowers, it looks like, but it may have lost its flowers after these hot days. Oh, look, right there. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to set a fruit. But, and then I'm also doing cucumbers again over here. So I've got 2 there. I've got 1 there, 1 there, 1 there. And then you can see if you come around to this side, look how big and beautiful this is. Now this is that straight 8 cucumber variety. I grew these from seed. I started them in starts, and then I'm moving them out here to the garden. The straight 8's going to be that long cucumber that's about this big. This time of year, they should be very, very good as long as we don't get to freeze, because the temperatures are nice enough to keep the bitterness of the cucumber down, right? So we want to do more of that. If you haven't gotten the seeds already in the ground for your cucumbers, it might be too late. If you have some old seeds, you know I love to play with old seeds, just go for it. But it might be too late for anything else to be putting those in the ground. But look how big and nice these plants are turning out to be. I'm very happy to see that this winter squash, this is actually a seed that someone gave me, may do good, may end up being really, really good. I also put a lot of the cucumbers here and on this side of the fence as well, on the outside and then here inside. And I tried really hard to keep it away from interacting with this tomato plant. Tomato and cucumbers don't like each other when it comes to hormones. They mess each other up. So, but I've got this beautiful tomato plant that's growing here, and it's kind of growing everywhere. It's growing down, it's putting flowers on. I haven't seen any fruit on this one yet, but I have seen lots and lots of flowers. So before too long, it will be having all of its lovely flowers on. So, Joe, were there any questions from anyone today? None? All right. It was so great to talk to you guys again. I remind you of those 4 things I mentioned at the beginning of the show. One is tomorrow morning I will be doing the grounding meditation. I'll drop the link in here so you can get to that tickets on that if you want. It's free, available for everyone. I'm out of breath. That's the problem. The second thing is TEDx Corpus Christi on October the 17th, where you'll get to hear my speech plus 9 other amazing speakers as well. So be in that live virtual event. It's going to be awesome. Links down here in the comments. Also, don't forget about the seasonal workshop I will be hosting on October the 24th. There is a nominal fee for that, but I hope you'll come out to that as well. And last but not least, join us for the 3rd episode and the 6th episode and the whatever you want to call it. It's Friends with Benefits with our friends from Bellino's Italian Ristorante. I'll see you all. Have a fantastic Sunday and a wonderful week. Bye.